Hi everyone, my name is Esther Han. Thanks to Sue and Mr. Torres from the UN Global Compact team, their presentation was inspiring and very insightful, which makes me that much more nervous to go right after them. But here, let me share my screen with you guys because I'm about to hit you guys with a lot of numbers and data. So hopefully these visual aids will help. I'll hold the Q&A session after my presentation as well. So if you guys have any questions, please make sure to write them down. I am presenting this memo to Kevin Kells, the Managing Director of Google for Education. Google Education Tools, Creating Possibilities or Inequalities in Higher Education. The EdTech market has seen tremendous growth for the past decade. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic, the industry has been rising fast in the US, China, India, Germany, and the UK, and since the pandemic, the market's demand has only accelerated. According to HolonIQ, EdTech is growing at a compound annual growth rate of 16.3% and is expected to reach $404 billion in value by 2025, with 46% of that growth happening in K through 12. In recent years, the 5 top performing big tech companies such as Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and Google have been shaping the new normal. Significantly, Google, Microsoft, and Apple have been battling for dominance in classrooms for teachers and students to use their products. They all want their devices in the hands of the next generation of consumers. Material change in global education has also pushed big tech to invest in EdTech. First, there's solid underlying population growth. 400 plus million more people are expected to be on Earth by 2025, with Asian-led acceleration in early childhood and K through 12. Second, higher education tuition inflation ended as governments and consumers demanded improved access, affordability, and more substantial return of investment. Return of investment, right? ROI, yeah. And third, the contemporary culture has shifted to a progressively skills-focused economy. And last but not absolutely least, digital drives greater organizational productivity and efficiencies at a lower cost than a predominantly analog foundation. Like we are having a Zoom summit right now, right? Without actually getting to the UN. So before we dive into the deeper ESG narrative, allow me to present this 1-minute clip. This is what I learned about pre-middle schoolers as an educator myself over the past year.
선생님 눈 훔쳐도 됩니까?
안 됩니다. 이제 아이패드 넣어주세요. 그럼 뭐야? 갤럭시야? 탭이야? 이제 카트라이더는 끄고요. 카트 맞아요? 여기 보면 1000 미터 per second.
밀리세컨드.
미닛 세컨드.
1000이 그거예요. 1초에.
그럼 했길래.
2000초
적었니?
얘
왜 벽을 박어?
얘 핸들
저렇게 하면 안 돼.
얘 핸들 고등나 A2처럼이잖아.
이거를 한번 뽑아서 대훈이가 바닥에 놓아주세요. 1초, 2초.
Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, said, "Education is such a big part of who we are as a company and has been for the past 40 years." Apple was in the lead in US schools before the pandemic. However, Google has soared to the top in the last several years. Apple announced iPad Air for $499 and the iPad Mini for $399, which offers keyboard support for the first time and are now compatible with the Apple Pencil. Google is in the lead essentially because its Chromebooks are the cheapest option for classroom and starting at just $149, which is almost 3 times cheaper. Oh, more than 3 times cheaper because 150 times 3 is what? 450? Laptops with Microsoft Windows start at $189 for schools. And in 2018, it's Chrome, isn't it? Yeah. In 2018, Chromebooks made up to 60% of all laptops and tablets purchased for K through 12 classrooms. However, Microsoft is the big winner globally with 57% of classroom sales outside the US. This is mainly due to emerging markets that lack the internet connection that Chromebooks need. Without a doubt, These three companies are a force to be reckoned with. Tech companies constantly upgrade their software and create digital devices to impact education. However, the real question is not the convenience, but the consequences to users of the products these companies produce. While the industry is getting more prominent and innovative, are smart tools and methods truly impacting the users the way they meant to impact them? Organizations tend to focus on numbers such as how much they spent, how many individuals they made contributions to, and how much revenue they made. On the contrary, the other imperative data is often overlooked, such as how much it mattered for the students and how well it impacted them in a long haul. With its famous code of conduct, "Don't be evil," Google is one of the biggest and most influential corporations with unique philanthropic goals and social impact. Google has been focusing on where it can accomplish this best, and Google for Education team is one of its promising platforms and enterprises. It is admirable how much of an investment Google has made, not only for quality education, but also for the startups with the SDG goals of quality education, reduce inequalities, and reducing poverty, such as Skill Labs, Tech Hives, and Deeply, etc. Those are the startups that they are partnered up with. Yeah. One of the ESG projects that the Google Education team has been pushing is called Rolling Study Halls. For the students in rural communities who lack connectivity and Wi-Fi access at home, Google put access to the internet in school buses so that students can turn their commute time into homework time. And Google stated, after initial pilots of our rolling study halls in North Carolina and South Carolina, early results indicate promising gains in reading and math proficiency and increased digital fluency. However, while emphasizing the data regarding how many schools adopted rolling study halls and how much money they contributed to the project, they meaning Google, and the Google Education team hasn't clearly defined their indication for promising gains in academic success. Providing unsupervised free time with Wi-Fi for teenagers also comes with challenges and risks. First, if we think about how adults can mindlessly just scroll their phones during their commute to work on the subway or on the way home, it is nearly impossible for children to have this kind of discipline and do their homework in the bus, which leads to the next point. Having access to the internet, kids will also have access to questionable content and online predators with just one swipe. Second, unlike schools where computers are provided, if students are expected to use their own mobile devices on the bus, it may leave behind low-income students who need help to afford those laptops and tablets. Google did not do anything evil by offering Wi-Fi per se. One can even argue that the project falls under the category of doing well by doing good, because this will give more reasons for their sales to skyrocket. The parents with the resources will pay for their kids' digital devices for education. However, who is truly paying for the consequences of having unlimited digital access? For those trained to use fire, knives and food ingredients can be the most valuable resources to cook and feed themselves. However, those who do not know what fire can do to humans may need to learn what consequences touching fire will bring them first. Using fire was the first critical technology that enabled human evolution, and now digital technology access should be conducted like the control of fire. In order to create a sustainable impact on education, Big Tech needs to redirect its focus. The most prominent stakeholders in the education system are students, not teachers. Research shows that the teacher has the most significant impact on a child's education. Jonathan Rochelle, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, the former product manager for Google Education Products, said it is why Google invested much effort in developing scaffolding software for educators to teach, organize, create, and grade, namely G Suites and Google certifications. It is time to change the focus to measure how much impact or tolls these smart tools create on students' day-to-day learning and well-being. Equal internet access to all does not mean equal education for all. No matter how many rolling study halls there are, if students inside the bus cannot utilize or get the maximum benefits out of free Wi-Fi, Google may have created more disparity than impact. The underserved and underrepresented students need thorough guidance to develop their digital skills, societal training, and the sense of belonging first. As a leading corporation in the fast emerging EdTech industry, I highly recommend that Google work on more active learning tools and opportunities for students first. It'll take a longer time to see tangible results, and it'll cost a lot. Still, the societal cost of not acting will be even greater than acting in impact investing for the next generation. Thank you. I'll take the questions now.
These like buses that you were talking about that I guess enabled kids to like get ahead in homework by utilizing like freely available Wi-Fi. How is this run its course? I might have missed it, so just wanted to clarify.
Excellent question, Emilio. And I wondered about the same thing too, because they have the set amount of money, percentage of money or their profits from their corporation set out for the ESG fund or investment type of bank. However, they did not exactly specify that. They did not say where exactly this money come from. Maybe there are donations. Maybe they have corporations that partnered with them, like bus companies or mobile companies or Wi-Fi companies. Gennaro asked, in what geographic area Google is doing this work? That was my another question, which was a part of my midterm too. They're only doing it in the US. And I thought, what about in Africa? In Africa, there are students who would rather walk 2 hours to actually get to school and learn because they don't have Wi-Fi, they don't have school bus, they don't have tablets. Then that's even more inequality in education. It's education for none for African students. So it's only so far in the 16 rural areas of the US. I have faith in them. They will launch more projects or reshape them. And I see Alexander.
The question goes into scaling. I mean, Google's core business is an IT infrastructure where, from the ESG perspective, much of their infrastructure is based on sustainable products. Carbon emission is low. A commitment by Google to actually do that. What would be your thoughts on that?
Google has a lot of different aspects or the projects they run. And I think even bigger than education is the biggest is their zero carbon dioxide goal by 2030. For now, I wanted to go deeper, not broader. So I set aside how this and having a lot of moving buses affect the economy, global economy, or Google's bigger forest by tweaking little trees here and there. I will research on that and get back to you by the next class. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Esther. Great presentation. Could you see a collaboration between the UN and Google in promoting like the SDG goal of quality education? And
I think they are already partnering up with the UN, and the reason why I chose actually Google rather than Apple or Microsoft, because I think Google is definitely leading by example with the societal impact before other capitalist companies. I think that it's a great partnership. I am not really sure how it is actually going to span out, because I mean, it sounds a little skeptical after having the two presenters from the UN, right? But because I'm not UN nor Google, I'm really careful.
yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no.